Over to you, Sangeeta.
Thank you very much, Yoga. So very good morning, everybody. It's great to connect with you all virtually and presenting on a topic that's very close to my heart, which is get high, creating synergies with your energies, especially for high performance, right? Now, before I even get started, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate Yoga and his team for, continuously delivering non-stop for so many years and, one session after the other, twice a month. It's amazing. And I think for that itself is a great example of creating synergies for high performance. So kudos to Yoga and his team and to all the participants for continuously supporting Yoga in this venture. So with that, I'd like to now start off with a little story. Yes. So, this is about a new automobile, a new car that was launched by a huge automobile maker. Now they had invited the press, they had invited everybody for the launch of the car. There was all the top people, the top-notch people from the media and other places who were right there. And the car was about to be launched and it was a huge session. Now, just then, just as they were going to pull the car out of the garage and, outside all these people are there, they realized something. The height of the garage door and the roof of the car were about the same height. So this meant if the car had to be pulled out, there could be a potential damage to the roof of the car. Imagine for the launch a brand new car when everybody is awaiting it with bated breath. If this was how it was going to be, what would be the reputation of the company? Now, all of them were taken aback. Everybody starts to think to see what can be done. Now, somebody says, it's okay, let's take it out and then we can, retouch and repaint it. Or somebody is like, it's okay, we can go ahead with this dent and stuff like that. And just as all these top executives were discussing it, guess what? The security guard who was there, he said, sir, if you're all right, can I share something? So they said, yeah, what is it? So he said to all the executives, can we just deflate the air from the tires? So the height of the car comes down by a few inches and we'll be able to take the car out and then we inflate the tires again and boom, it would be fine. So my friends, what did you learn from this story? Maybe you can post some comments on the chat box very quickly and say, what did you learn from this story? Anybody, or if you want to unmute yourself, feel free and say, yes, I noticed somebody. Ideas can come from anyone. Absolutely right, Aruma. Yes, George. Yes, absolutely right. Ideas can be from anybody, everywhere, any source. And all it takes is to, work together on it and get a voice from everybody to share their thoughts on it. So that is what I thought I should start this story with you for. Now, so before we deep dive, right? Tell me, why? Why do we have to create synergies? And how does that help us with high performance? So any thoughts? Yes, please feel free to chat. Yes, it's practical thinking. Absolutely right. And sometimes you need to pull yourself down. Yeah, that is also true, Hari. Yes, absolutely. So why? What are your thoughts on this? Why do we need to create these sort of synergies that is required? So please post in the chat box or unmute yourself. Yes, new ideas. Yes, synergies create more independence. Very nice, Dr. Deena. Yes, absolutely. Teamwork, absolutely right. Yes. So if I were to summarize some of the reasons for this, how does that work? Yeah. So firstly, it helps in collaboration. A lot of collaboration is possible between the teams, and that results in high performance for the business. It also facilitates a lot of learning, right? Because we learn from each other, irrespective of the levels, irrespective of the designation of people. What is it that we can learn from each other? It provides solutions to the challenges that we are facing. And, I always say the collective wisdom is a lot better. Now, look at the amount of collective wisdom that is there in the Zoom room, right? It's a lot more. And therefore, the collective wisdom is always helpful. It also establishes in getting people connected, right? Irrespective of what background, domains, functions, whatever, it helps people to connect better because when we are all working to work together towards a common goal, that helps with the connections connecting better with people and better results. I always say HP for HP. Any guesses what that is? High performance for high profits. And therefore, if your business is a high performing one, it tends to lead your business to higher profits. Yes, I also see some very nice comments in the chat box, like reaching the goal, growth opportunities, and higher perspectives as well. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. So with that, if you are clear on the why, let's move ahead, right? So even though we are clear and we want to go ahead with this why, many times there are challenges that come in the way of achieving these synergies, right? So before deep diving into what some of these challenges are and how we can go about it, let me share an interesting narrative that happened to me. A few months ago, my left shoulder played up. I was in pain. As a result, I couldn't lift my arm, I couldn't drive, I couldn't serve myself, and it just started worsening my condition. And how do you think that made me feel? I felt very weak. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know how long this would last. I didn't know why this was happening, what caused it. And I was in a lot of pain, both mentally and physically. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Now, if you were to look at a business, right, many times in businesses as well, you face this challenge. So in fact, it's no longer the VUCA world, but it is the Barney world. Now, what is the Barney world? Barney, where it's brittle, anxious, it's non-linear, and incomprehensible. Now, if these are a macro level challenges that a business faces as well. And Barney has to do a lot with emotions. Now, in the narrative I gave you about my shoulder, how do you think it made me feel when I felt weak? How did you think it made me feel when I was anxious? I didn't know how long it was going to last. When will I get all right? You think I felt good? No way. And similarly, you don't feel good when things are non-linear and incomprehensible as well. So my friends, that is what we are in at this moment. And this at a macro level poses a big challenge to achieve the synergies that we want, and more importantly, to achieve the high performance that your business needs. So how does one overcome these challenges? Now, let me share some real life examples here with you. Now, this, I'm sure many of you have heard of the huge group in India, RPG Group, which has, the Seat Tires and the KAC, Zensar, and many other group companies. Now, I did a 2-day offsite workshop for them, for the leadership team. And some of the common challenges that they faced is what I'm going to brief you about, and how they overcome in getting out of these challenges and achieving the high performance that they want through synergies. So the common thing that they all agreed upon is to achieve the synergies for high performance, what was needed is business partnering. Because as a sole person, it's always difficult to tackle challenges. But then if you're able to work together as a team with the synergies, you achieve high performance that enables you to achieve what you want. So I'm going to take you through some of these steps that we did in this workshop. So very quickly, let me brief you about it. So first, we had agreed upon that companies need to build a culture of high performance. What is the culture of high performance? Now, if you were to look at these different pillars, what it takes is to harness the team's energy. Like I said, it's not a one-man show or a one-woman show, but it's a team effort. And therefore, it's essential to get everybody to contribute, leverage the strengths, and harness the energy of the team to achieve what you want. Next, in order to have a high performance culture, you need to have the freedom to try out new things, right? Because if you're stuck with the fear of failure and do not indulge in trying out new things, the business suffers. Therefore, having the freedom to try new things, whatever is relevant for your business, leads you to a culture of high performance. The third thing is the continuous improvement. High performance is all about continuous improvement. So how are you getting better at what you do? What should your business focus upon? How can you get to a better version of the business from what you were few weeks, few months, and few years. So what are the steps that need to be taken then? What about the learning drive? Learning drive is something very, very important again, because unless there's continuous learning and development, you will not be in pace with the changing times, and you will not be in line with the trends and the behaviors. And therefore, how are you facilitating the continuous improvement and the learning drive in your organization? Another most important thing is the emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is something that's extremely important for businesses, especially for leaders, because if you do not have the emotional intelligence, it will be difficult to harness the team's energy and you will not be together as a team. And therefore, being emotionally intelligent will help the business to grow, develop, create the synergies, and be a high-performing culture for higher profits. And last but not the least is outcome oriented. Now, when you're creating the synergies and working towards high performance, are you focusing on what is the outcome that's required? How should the team go about achieving the desired outcome? Is the focus there? Is the energies there? Now, those are things for you to reflect upon so that the desired outcome is obtained. So these pillars of high performance culture was something we deep dive upon in this 2-day workshop. And then comes a very important factor, which is very, very not given sufficient importance deserve, is appreciation. Now tell me, who doesn't like a job that's being well done? Who doesn't like to be appreciated on a job that's been well done? Now, how would you feel if you did a great job and then somebody came and complimented you saying, hey, that was fantastic. You did an incredible job. How does that make you feel? Similarly, others also feel good, feel welcome, feel valued when the work that they've done is being appreciated. So can you develop this culture of appreciation, those small rewards, small recognition that go and speak a long way? So is that possible to inculcate in your teams, in your business, is the culture of appreciation? And then a very important factor is the psychological safety. Can you nurture psychological safety in your teams? What is psychological safety? Can your team members be themselves amongst you and the rest of the team without having a fear of being ridiculed, fear of being judged, or fear of being put down, right? Can they just be themselves? Are you in a position to nurture this psychological safety? What about the insights? The insights that you have, can you share it with the teams so that, different thoughts, different perspectives come up and better challenges can be resolved through better solutions? Is that possible? Now, if you notice, these 4 things that I told you, right, will help you combat a bunny. Now, if you're wondering what that is, let me tell you, you combat the bunny with another bunny. What is that? If you feel brittle, build a culture of high performance. If you feel anxious, start appreciating, because people feel better when you start appreciating. If it's non-linear, nurture the psychological safety. And if it's incomprehensible, start to share your insights. And my friends, that would help you at a macro level to combat the bunny. Now, if you were to look at the micro challenges. Now, as a business and leadership coach, I have been working with different people. And like I mentioned, these were the macro challenges. Micro challenges have been different for a lot of people. However, 3 things were pretty common across different industries and different leaders. The CSR. Now, most of you are probably thinking CSR is a corporate social responsibility, but this CSR here stands for something different, which is C is your communication, S is the skills, and R is your relationships. So let me share another real life anecdote on the importance and how the communication plays out. Now, there was this large company and the CEO was mandated to open up another branch, a sister concern actually, in US, because they wanted to tap into newer customers and grow the business in America. Now, he had poached staff from a competitor and made him as the head there and ensured that he will do what it takes to grow the business there. But Fast forward a couple of years, guess what? Nothing happened. There was zero business that this sister concern generated, and it was just a whole load of waste of time, efforts, energy, and money. Now, normal circumstances, what do you think the board would have done? They would have probably fired the CEO, but this board thought differently. They wanted to give him another opportunity because he was doing very well in the existing business. So they wanted him to work with me, and I had to coach him to see what or how he could have done better and what things can be done so that he does not commit these mistakes and ensure he can grow it successfully in other locations. So the important thing that came out from our coaching conversation was he realized he lacked sharing feedback with his, the sales rep that he had. He had very poor listening skills. And not just that, as our coaching conversation progressed over the months, he realized he could have given a feed forward. What exactly was he expecting? He could have guided the person better, and he could have created a lot more synergies with him so that the desired results, the outcome could have been achieved. So that I thought was a valuable learning, which I wanted to share with you. The second important thing, like I said, is on the skills development. So what can be done on the skills development? There can be umpteen number of things. For example, on the job, you can learn, you can get into online programs, online courses. There are umpteen number of them that can help you to learn. Social media is definitely like platforms like YouTube are great medias of learning. Books, undoubtedly. You can have workshops, you can have mentoring sessions, coaching sessions that will help you to enhance your skill levels. Let me again share another real life example with yet another client of mine. This person was the group CFO of a large company. The founders, the board of directors of this company wanted him to scale up as the executive director. And therefore, we engaged together and they wanted me to coach him to see how he can scale up in this new role and have the desired and the requisite skill set to adorn this new role. So again, like I said, his challenges that he faced was communication, which I already told you. And apart from that, he also had issues on managing his team, right? And also building strategies. How should the business grow further? What sort of strategies need to be in place? What are some of the newer markets they need to conquer? Maybe should they go into different new business verticals, or should they venture out into an IPO? So these were thoughts around which he wanted to enhance his skill set so that he could value add better to the business, which will lead to high performance and therefore leads to better business financial growth for the business. So therefore, having the right skill set for whatever role that you're performing is very important. And I always say a leader is only as successful as the team members. So therefore, how are you again creating the required synergies to achieve the results that you want? Next, like I said, the R stands for the relationship issues. Now, this was an interesting workshop that I had done for the CXO Club. CXO Club, where the different CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, CHROs from different leading organizations, I did a leadership development program for them. And we came up with some amazing realizations that these leaders had, which I would very briefly share with you. They said, we need to constantly keep learning, otherwise we are not in a position to lead our teams. They also emphasized on the appreciation, which we touched upon. They also said we need to have the right sort of mindset, because mindset is everything, especially in creating synergies and leading the teams. And another important thing they mentioned was on the ego. They said, if the ego plays up, then we are not able to create the synergies with our team members. And therefore, as a leader, we need to be a lot more mindful about what we do or the kind of actions that we take. And therefore, they said, this is very, very important for us as leaders to have the right sort of relationship, not only with our team members, but also with our peers and our bosses. Again, another example I would like to share, another person, he was the head of finance, in fact, in the Middle East region, and he wanted to move out the job and get into a bigger role. Now, we worked together, and during our coaching sessions, I helped him to overcome his career challenges, and that helped him to move into another bigger, better role. But in the bigger role, he had this challenge of relationships. Now he had to report into different bosses with slightly different ideologies, and he didn't know how exactly to deal with them. And that is what we spoke about. And therefore, again, the important aspect that emerged was on the relationship management. What sort of relationship he needed to establish with his both the bosses who were from different ideologies, how should he strike the right kind of balance so that he is able to deliver his best and also create synergies among his team members and achieve the business objectives. So that is why I say, how are you focusing on this CSR? Your communications, the kind of skills that you have in the role that you're playing, and your relationship. These are some of the micro challenges that I thought I should talk to you about. Apart from that, you can also get into a lot of brainstorming, because brainstorming with your team members helps you to build a lot of synergies. Now, these are different workshops that I've been doing for different corporates, wherein I bring people together and enable them to think and brainstorm through their challenges that they have so that they can achieve the desired results that the business wants. So each one is different, but yes, I focus on finance, high performance, leadership development, and strategy. So I think my time is almost up. So I would also like to share with you that these are my books. A Glance of the Unknown is a spiritual thriller. That's what got me started as an author. And then the other one was What the Finance, which is a national bestseller, which talks about practical tips and tricks on how you can easily manage the finance of your business. Get High is how to coach yourself for high performance in your work that you do, which has been endorsed by Marshall Goldsmith, one of the best New York Times bestseller. And Where's the Moolah is on financial growth hacks for better business profitability. So these are different books, and I do workshops based on themes of these books. And yes, hard and soft copy are available on Amazon. I'm happy to connect with all of you. You can find me as the Gain Enabler, and that is in fact my the QR code for my LinkedIn. Happy to connect because I keep sharing different things on these areas that I focus on. Even on my YouTube, I keep sharing different stuff on finance, leadership, high performance, and strategy as well. Happy to connect with all of you. And like I said, happy to support, if you need any sort of help in growing your potential, performance, or profits of your business, right? So that was it. And to conclude, my dear friends, I'd like to tell you something. Now, if a flower doesn't bloom, what do? We check if the environment is right. If it's getting sufficient sunlight, are we giving enough water? Can we give it some sort of nutrients, right? And we are helping and facilitating the flower to bloom. So in your teams, if you feel somebody is not up to it, what can you do to support them so that you can create the synergies that you want? And that will lead you to building the high performance culture that you want for the business. And with that, my friends, I'd like to wish you all the very best of high performance, create the synergies that you want, grow your business multiple fold, and be a star high performing business. So with that, I'd like to conclude my talk, and I'm open for any Q&A.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Sangeeta.
you, Anisha.
Yeah, for accepting my invitation and coming here and sharing your knowledge. As a token of appreciation, I give you this certificate of appreciation to you.
Thank you.
Which I will email to you also.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So now let me stop the recording and start the Q&A.